Hello, and welcome to 7th grade language arts with your teacher, Miss Glass. Today, here is our agenda. Right? So, first, I need you guys to be thinking about the question, what is intelligence? All right, so while I'm going through the agenda, going ahead and be thinking about what is intelligence. All right. Next, I'm going to show you guys a chart that we're going to use today. So we're going to create a chart. I've got one column filled out. You guys will fill in the next two columns. And then the final column, you'll work with a partner on completing the final column. Right? And you won't complete that until the end of class. All right? So 2 columns you'll complete while we're going through the PowerPoint. 1 column you're going to work on with a partner to complete so that you're able to turn your chart in at the end of class. All right. Then we're going to go through a PowerPoint together. All right. You guys are going to take your own multiple intelligence test. And we're going to discuss those results. I'll show you guys my results too. And lastly, you guys are going to create an intelligence map. And here is sneak peek. There's Miss Glass's intelligence map. All right. So first I want you guys to go ahead and log into Google Classroom. On Google Classroom, you guys will already see that there's a chart there for you. All right. Within Google Classroom, you guys will see the first column of that chart reads intelligences, and it lists off 8 different intelligences. The next column says to paraphrase. So after we go through each one of the intelligences, you guys are going to write down your own thoughts and give it your own definition in your own words. All right? You're going to do that for each one as we're going through the PowerPoint. Right? The next column says famous people or potential careers. For this column, you guys actually have a choice. You have a choice as to, do you want to focus on the famous people? And you can copy those directly from my PowerPoint. Or you can brainstorm some other people. And then you have the option also to write in potential careers for that specific intelligence. All right. The last column that you guys are going to work on with a partner states learning style activities. So you with a partner are going to brainstorm some possible activities that can be done in a class that will be geared toward that specific intelligence. Okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody ready to move on? All right. So I showed you guys the chart. Make sure that you have your chart pulled up as we're going through the PowerPoint, so that you're able to write down the information. Okay? All right. So, my first question that I asked you guys earlier before we started going over anything was, what do you think of when you hear the word intelligence? Or what is your definition of intelligence? I know that sometimes society might make us think that intelligence is one thing, but this guy named Howard Gardner a long time ago came up with this theory of intelligences. So as you guys are thinking about what your idea of intelligence is, I'm going to give you a minute to think on it, and then I'm going to ask you guys to give me some of those definitions, all right? All right. Thank you guys for all those great answers. Some of you guys may have said, or some of you guys did say that intelligence to you means that it's people with good grades. And a lot of times we work really hard to get good grades, and that doesn't make you intelligent or the know-all, end-all. Some of you guys also thought that the idea of intelligence is people that attend college, right? And then the last type that some of you guys may have said was people that may make a lot of money, right? Well, as I told you guys before, a guy named Howard Gardner, he compiled a list of 8. So he came up with a theory. And we all know that the theory is not something that can be proven. It's not dead on 100%, but it's something that somebody thought, and usually it's correct, right? So Howard Gardner came up with this theory of 8 multiple intelligences, right? So just because you may not excel in math or in reading does not mean that you are not intelligent, right? So there are 6 other areas that you possibly could do extremely well in, And it may not be reading or math. So intelligence, Merriam-Webster defines intelligence as the ability to learn or understand or to deal with new or trying situations, right? Also defines it as the ability to apply knowledge, to manipulate one's environment, or to think abstractly as measured by objective criteria. So someone that can do well on a test. It's also the act of understanding. So again, there are 8 different multiple intelligences. The first one being verbal linguistic. And as we look at the list on the PowerPoint, I do want you guys to be thinking about, do I know what this person probably excels in because I know what that word means, right? So verbal linguistic is the first one. And when you think about verbal, what's something that you think about? All right, the next type is logical mathematical. And there's definitely a word in there that we know, mathematical, right? The next type is visual or spatial. And we know what visual is. All right, the next type is musical. All right, now these next 4, naturalistic is a type. And we know the word natural, right? So be thinking about what that possibly is. Bodily or kinesthetic. And I'm sure that you guys probably know the word kinesthetic from science class, right? Or kinetic, energy, right? And then the last 2 types are interpersonal and then intrapersonal. All right, so more specifically, the first. All right, so more specifically, we started talking about verbal or linguistic intelligence, right? And those people are able to use words and speak well. They're typically able to read and write well, and they memorize things easily. So, can you guys think of someone perhaps in class that you feel like is a verbal or linguistic type of learner, or that they are strong in verbal and linguistics, right? We can also think about just somebody famous that makes speeches. So you could have Martin Luther King Jr., you could have President Barack Obama, right? Just to name a few, but those are definitely people that are gifted in speech, and they're able to put words together well. The next type that we have, and guys, make sure that you're filling out your chart with this information. I just gave you some famous people that you can definitely put in column 3. And I've also given you guys what the term is for you to break it down and paraphrase it in your own words. All right. So the second type, and it's on your sheet as well, guys, is logical or mathematical. Those are people who are able to logically figure out patterns well. They're typically able to solve mathematical problems easily. And a famous person that I thought about with logical and mathematical, I put Bill Nye the science guy, because he's able to logically take you through the steps as to how to solve an equation or how to complete an experiment. All right. The next 2 types I think of as more in the arts field, right? So you have visual spatial. And these people are good at visualizing things, and they're good at directions. They're also typically good at reading maps and charts. So for that one, I definitely have the famous artist Frida Kahlo with the wonderful unibrow, right? Because she was artistically inclined. She was very visual spatial. All right. For the next type is musical, and these people typically have a strong appreciation for music and can think in rhythms and sounds, right? So for that one, I have a picture of Alicia Keys playing 2 pianos at the same time and singing. You have to be able to think in rhythms and sounds to be able to play 2 pianos at the same time and sing. So naturalistic is the next type. You guys can see that on your sheet, right? So these are people that are interested in nurturing and growing things in nature. They typically enjoy the outdoors. So I've got the man versus wild in the PowerPoint for you guys to be thinking about. This is someone who's able to survive in nature and use everything and all of his natural resources in order for him to survive, right? Bear will go out in nature and he'll be there for numerous days and he'll just live off the land, right? The next type is bodily or kinesthetic. And for that one, I want you guys to definitely think about people that are good at body movement and typically have good hand-eye coordination. Not saying that all people that are bodily, kinesthetic, intelligence are athletes, but typically if you're able to make your body do those things in that way to score a touchdown or shoot a basket, you have to have some type of intelligence over your body to be able to tell it what to do, right? So for that one, I definitely have a picture of Michael Jordan. The last two types are, and they can be a little confusing, you've got interpersonal and intrapersonal, right? So interpersonal is the type of person that's able to connect with other people. That's interpersonal, right? So when you think about like a philosopher or someone that's able to counsel people or really help other people to get in touch with their feelings, they're good at watching people and reading people. Those are people that are strong in interpersonal connections. All right. The last type that we have is intrapersonal. And intrapersonal are people that are very connected to themselves and very aware of their own feelings. So for those two, for interpersonal, I have the famous philosopher Socrates, right? Because he was able to tell people all these things about themselves and philosophize and all of those things, right? And then for intrapersonal, I have a picture of Maya Angelou because she was a poet and she definitely had to be in touch with her feelings and emotions and deeply connected to herself in order for her to produce some of that poetry, right? So now that we've gone through the PowerPoint, I want you guys to take a look at your chart and make sure that all of your boxes in column 2, which is your paraphrase column, and then column 3, which is your famous person or potential careers column, you guys need to make sure that you have completely filled in all of your columns now. Now, the next thing that I'm going to have you guys do, now that you're done with the chart and we've gone over that information, I want you guys to take your laptop now, and you guys are going to go to the link that is in Google Classroom for you guys to complete your multiple intelligence quiz, right? It's going to take us about 20 minutes for you guys to complete it because there are a series of questions that you guys will answer. But at the end, it's going to give you your data. And I wanted to show you guys my data. So my top 3 were... and I can use my intelligence map for it. I just created this. And you guys, when you do it, you don't have to do it as I did. I made mine like it was puzzle pieces all fitting together with my top 3 at the top, right? And they take up most of the page if I divide it in half or whatever. And then I put the next 4, and my smallest percentage is down here, and I'm going to explain it to you guys. So each one, so my top 3 areas were intrapersonal, verbal linguistic, and music. I'm an English teacher. This should be one of my areas, right? But I created a symbol to represent each one, and these take up more space because they are my top 3. Down here I have mathematical and logical, bodily and kinesthetic, visual, spatial, and then interpersonal, right? Where I like to work with groups and hang out with other people. The last one and the smallest percentage was naturalistic, right? I'm not really close to nature. So now you guys are going to do the same thing. You're going ahead and complete your intelligence test, and then we're going to talk about the intelligence map. Thanks.